I'm going to start from this very first one, which is also the very first tour I've ever designed and run with Guided By. It's the tour that used to be called Central Italy, but now it's called Umbria Tuscany. It used to be called Central Italy, but it was too much of a big area to describe the tour. So I decided to reduce it to the two main regions where we're staying. And when we think of Umbria and Tuscany, we think of a lot of places, but most likely we're not going to see those places because it's going to be a very small town oriented, small group oriented itinerary. Umbria is my home region. I live actually in Umbria by 5 miles, by 7 kilometers, and between the Tuscany and Umbria borders. So this tour is basically my two legs. I'm gonna hold on a sec, sorry. There you go. So this is the itinerary. It's a 12-night, 11-day tour. We start in my hometown. We start in Cortona, in the central part of Tuscany. Cortona for 3 nights, where we're going to also explore beautiful Arezzo. Then we move into Umbria, my home region, in the northern area, near the area of Lake Trasimeno. Our hotel is an agriturismo, a farmhouse that produces and sells their own food and produce in the area of Bevagna and Assisi. And then from that, we go back into Tuscany, but to a completely different area of Tuscany, the area near where actually Margaret stays with her group. We stay in the village, Etruscan village of Sovana. From there, we go to the beach. We go to explore some incredible areas. And then we finish the tour in my hometown, Orvieto. That's where we're going to explore the furthest southern tip of the itinerary. I'm going to quickly show a few pictures that I've been taking on my Umbria and Tuscany tours. I've run 4 departures within the last 2 years of this tour, and every time, even if it's my backyard tour, I get to meet new incredible people, new friends traveling with me, and most of all, I learn new things. That's the most important thing. This is a view of from Cortona, from the town of Cortona. And then, of course, the tour is designed to happen most likely in the fall, when the harvests happen in my area. The wine production, the olive oil production, but also the truffle season gets into the winter season. So the tour runs between the end of October and early November, usually, the main departure. And then I could do 2 departures back to back, depending on availabilities. But the tour is centered around the harvest time, which in my home area in Central Italy is mainly the fall, because we have a major fall production, also lots of chestnuts, hazelnuts, walnuts, and so on. These are olives from a friend of mine. We stopped by their olive farm the day they were doing the main day of their harvest, and he was like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're here. I want to kill you, David, because we're in the middle of everything. You know, we've been working for 3 days in a row without sleeping, but thanks for stopping by." So it was a fun joke. We had a great time. We had the freshest olive oil we could possibly taste in the world. It was 1 minute old, just to give you an idea. Then we also spent a few hours at one of the many water springs that we have in the area. This is the one of Saturnia, but we also have many others, Bagni San Filippo and Rapolano, in the area between Tuscany and Umbria. We spent a few hours in the water, and our skin is as good as new. And then on my last one that I actually did a private Umbria Tuscany tour this last October, November. It was a group of 10 friends, and they hired me, and we did this beautiful custom design tour. And one of the requests on the custom tour was this: we would like to play bocce. So we ended up down in Cortona, and I called the bocce court, and we drove our little bus, because on these tours at Guided By, we go around with 15 people max. So the buses are 20, 30 seaters, and we can go to places that bigger buses cannot actually physically go. So we ended up at this incredible bocce court, and the guy in the green jersey over there, he's the vice champion of Italy for the year 2014 and 2015. This was an incredible moment, because we ended up learning how to play professional bocce by one of the best in Italy. And we had a great time. Then we went on a truffle hunt. This is actually on the right. You can see Rainer. On the right, you see the blonde man. That's Rainer. He spent the day visiting us for the truffle hunt. And that was an incredible day with my friend Alessandro up in the Apennines in Campello do Sulclituno, where we got to learn all about truffle. This was not a truffle hunt demonstration. This was an actual truffle hunt. We went out for 4 hours up the mountain to a shelter where we also ended up eating, of course, because on our tours, I don't know the other guys, but on my tours, food is essential. My friend Alessandro on the left and his partner Antonio on the right, they ended up making us scrambled eggs with freshly found truffle, and then some cold cuts and cheeses, and we all ended up having this incredible late morning snack. And after that, we went for lunch. Another experience that we do, which is, in my opinion, one of the most authentic to fully understand the ancient culture of my area, the so-called Etruscan pre-Roman civilization area, is to walk the Via Cave, the sacred roads, the carved and sacred roads of the ancient Etruscans that are shown in this picture with our local guide Elena. And we have a beautiful excursion, very easy walking excursion through this 3,000 plus year old man-made roads. Then we also spend a full day at the beach. This is the beautiful town of Porto Santo Stefano in southern Tuscany, where you can notice the water is pretty incredible. And not only the water, also the food and the gelato in Porto Santo Stefano is primo. And it's a beautiful experience. This is basically the day where I bring my friends to special, spectacular seafood lunch, and then free time in a beach town for most of the day. And then on the way back to the hotel, we have another stop. And this was another basically thing that cannot only happen when you run a small design custom tour. Even a regular tour, you can, if you know the area well and you have a small group, you can manage to improvise. This was an improv, and this was in every single tour member, one of their highlights of the tour. The lady with the hat, her name is Graziella. She's a former fresh pasta maker in my town. Actually, her shop used to be 3 doors down from my parents' house, which is actually where I am now in this moment. And anyway, when she retired, she decided to stop working after 55, 60 years. And after 6 months from retiring, she said, I can't stand doing nothing. So I'm going to open a restaurant in my home, in my own home, in her tavern. So now, as we speak, she's 85 years old. She still runs her own restaurant. And she has, just to give you an idea of what kind of people you get to meet on these guided by tours, she has a mother yeast to make the dough that's over 100 years old. And she's been maintaining it. Her grandmother, great-grandmother, maintaining it for over 100 years every day. And in fact, when you taste her pizza in her home, it's, I mean, if you're looking for one of the most incredible pizzas in your life, try Graziella's. So this was the group picture. Everybody was drunk because also she has great wine, but it's great. It's part of the game. Then we went for a nap. We also had a beautiful cooking class experience. And then this is my friend Federica Lozzi. She gave us a beautiful, beautiful cooking class, and we learned how to make a lot of different kinds of pasta. We learned the technique of making the dough, but also we made the sauce, we made the desserts, we made a lot of things from scratch. And this was actually in a friend's winery, so we ended up having like a wine cooking class, tasting. It was a lot of things in once, and we had the whole kitchen on available for us. And I just made this collage of pictures. These are pictures that show also what Margaret said a few minutes ago. Our tours, my tours, guided by tours, are made for people to meet people. It's not just sightseeing or like several other companies do. The sightseeing is important, of course. You want to visit, explore museums, monuments, cathedrals, but what matters is the people that made those places, you know. And of course, it's not these people that made those places, but these people are the ones that are living in these places, around these monuments, this culture. So this is big part of the culture. So it's a bunch of friends that you can see in this picture. I'm not going to name all of them, but it's just an incredible experience. And that's why every time I run a tour, it's like a new baby, you know. It's you know the places where you go well. You're the guiding person, you're the leader, but at the same time you get to learn more from these people. Sit down, have a coffee, a chit chat with Graziella, or with my high school friend, bottom right, Serena, who's she's always laughing. Even when she speaks about sad events, she laughs. So she's if you're down, if you're feeling down one day, call her and you're fine. You're good to go for another month. When possible, especially on this home tour, my backyard tour, I tend to have my musician friends and bandmates, Valerio and Gabriele, join me if they're available for a little impromptu gig, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And this was at one of our tours, and this wine shop, we organized like an impromptu show with a few glasses of wine and some snacks. So music is always important in my tours, whether it's live music or listening to music. Because music, I believe, it's a huge part of any culture, and that has to be talked about, at least. And this is me in front of the Cathedral of Orvieto, guiding one of my tours, and that's where our Umbria and Tuscany tour ends. So we end with the town of Orvieto, which is my hometown, where I was born and raised, and where I live now still, which hosts one of the most incredible Gothic Romanesque cathedrals in Europe. And for those who like art and architecture, you are in front of a 700-year-old art history book sculpted in the form of a cathedral. So everything you're looking for, you have it in front of your eyes. And so I think it's a good way to end this beautiful tour. Okay.